Good afternoon. So glad to see so many people are still here and warm, hopefully. I'm going to talk today just briefly about a new project that we kicked off, but first I'm going to give a bit of an intro to it that I think is important for the point of this project, the point of the working group, and then the point of a lot of investments we're starting to make in the Cloud Foundry community. We've talked a lot this week about open source, collaboration, 25 years of Linux, and the value of us coming together as a community. One of the things we believe firmly at Cloud Foundry is that open source is a positive-sum game. To quote Robert Wright from his book Non-Zero, the history of civilization is a series of positive-sum games that play out in larger and larger scale. To make that even more simplistic, how many people can I call self instead of other? The intent of that is to say that platforms can be positive-sum games, and that by working together and collaborating, we can continue to innovate at a scale and a pace unachievable by a single person, a single organization, or even a couple. When I think about a platform and I think about what Cloud Foundry really takes to heart is balancing the needs of developers, users, providers, and operators, offering a virtuous cycle between all of those within a single technological solution. The more people we can support with a platform, the greater the platform is. And not just the more successful, but the better the technology and the better the ecosystem around that. When I was thinking about the technology and thinking about other things, one of the fun things this week has been learning a lot about standards and specifications and the connotation that comes with those words. And so I thought a lot about the light bulb, an early technological advance. And what made that interesting, notwithstanding the fact that we're all sitting here under lights and not in the dark in some creepy, awkward way, but the light socket is what made that interesting. The light socket was a standard we were all able to agree on. And what that allowed you to do is come up with new light bulbs, the LED, the cool Philips ones that you can turn on with Alexa and change the colors, and even the shitty IKEA lights. It just allowed you to innovate and change and come up with new ideas, but still have that common pluggable interface. So now those light bulbs can work in any house in any country. Coming back to platforms, and we've talked a lot about different platforms and different aspects of the platforms this week. Platforms are able to drive, or actually require more than drive, network effects. We need those network effects to ensure that platforms continue to be successful, but also continue to drive and retain value for the users. The more people that are included in that, the greater the network effects. So thinking about how that can continue to drive and evolve the usage, the utilization, and the technology of the platform. A great example of that is Uber. Uber is great, but you need two sides of that network for Uber. You need drivers, and you need riders. If you have too many drivers and not enough riders, you've got a lot of people that are just hanging out. And when you have too many riders and not enough drivers, you've got a lot of people that can't get a car. They get frustrated, they get annoyed, and they get really annoyed when they have to pay surge pricing. So when we think about network effects and we think about the cycle that drives those two on a platform, we think about the users, the services, and the applications. You need both of those to make a successful platform. So when I talk about services, what do I mean? When I think about services, I think about all of those technologies that exist that make your applications useful, be it data, messaging, CI tooling, all of those services that make your application capable, useful, and scalable. One of the projects that we've been working on at Cloud Foundry is the Service Broker API. And Service Broker API is a technology that Cloud Foundry has had for many, many years. It's something that's very near and dear to our heart, but it's also an area where we had an opportunity, going back to where we started, thinking of the larger community, that we could perhaps collaborate on more. So what is the Service Broker API? Simply, it's a contract between the platform and a service. It's a very simple API that is flexible, but at its essence, really allows you to create, bind, unbind, and delete a service. It's super simple, but yet it's such a requirement to make that platform useful for applications. The Service Broker allows us to marry applications and services quickly, effectively, and at scale. So one of the things that we do, because we loved the Service Broker so much, and turns out other people do too, we've created this working group. And the working group's vision is to collaborate on ways that we can take that API, make it an industry standard, set it up as a specification that allows ISVs, services to write against a single API and be accessible on any platform. Through a collaborative effort, how do we take this Service Broker and allow it accessible use and run well on any platform? Not just Cloud Foundry, but Kubernetes, OpenDAS, Red Hat, Fujitsu, and any others. And your question might be, why would we want to do that? And I won't make you do a trust fall. But realistically, at the end of the day, we're all in open source, and that's what we're asking to do, is trust to build the capabilities in a way that we can't singularly think of. And at the end of the day, what really matters to each and every one of us is the ecosystem and the services that are available. So our grand vision is to take that technology and use it to build the foundation for a marketplace of services that can ride and be deployed on any platform. A platform-agnostic marketplace. And that's something I think together we can build out and turn into an even greater vision on how we think about services, how we think about software, how we think about deploying that software, and what does that look like to all of our end users. We're here this week talking about cloud native. And one of the things we've asked is what makes that, what is that? What does that mean? And what that means is, for most of our users, particularly for those that are working with companies that are using this as an opportunity to become software companies, it means thinking about their technology differently. And as we think about that collectively, that means greater and greater levels of abstraction and a greater opportunity to figure out ways to innovate, both inside a platform and outside a platform. Cloud Foundry spent some time certifying and working really in our larger community on making sure technology was portable across all of those platforms. But we thought, why stop there? Why not allow this same accessibility and share a lot of these lessons learned with other platforms and other technologies? Because at the end of the day, our view and our vision is that cloud computing is ubiquitous and flexible. It's portable and interoperable. And our community is vibrant and growing. Those are the things we focus on at Cloud Foundry. But more than that, we see a human community. And this is something that we take very seriously. We want to make sure that we're pragmatic. We exchange ideas and experience. We're diverse and inclusive of people across race, gender, orientation, and lifestyle. And finally, we're respectful and committed to listening and thoughtful and honest conversation and perspectives. And so that's why I was excited to announce this here at LinuxCon and Cloud Native Day and talk about what we're doing and ask all of you to participate with me. Thank you. I don't know if there's any questions.